A disappointing series loss and a very boring series finale for the Chicago Cubs. We talk about it.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Today's episode is presented by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. NL Central Roundup later in the show. Cubs offense beginning to expectedly regress. And we start with Cubs Giants. Cubs lost 3-1 to the Giants on Wednesday to drop the 3-game series. Northsiders got that nice 9-2 win Monday before chaos ensued Tuesday. And then the loss Wednesday marks the second straight home series loss. Cubs are now 22-16, still firmly in first place in the NL Central. We'll go around the division in our final segment, like I said. So, Sam, as you sit there on a Wednesday afternoon, you got your laptop, your pistachios.
Yes,
what are
that's
some of
true.
your
That's
takeaways
true.
from Wednesday's game?
Well, my takeaways are I got a lot of work done, and that usually means not good things for the Cubs. When I'm getting a lot of work done on a midday and I don't have to catch up on it later in the day, that usually means it was a boring game, and that's exactly what happened with this Wednesday matinee. Look, I'll say this. I always try and have some sort of takeaway from each game. And right now where I'm at is, my concern level is low. And we could get to certain things and we'll talk about the offense more. I'll say this you said 22-16, so 38 ball games.
Yes, the stretch is almost over. 3 more.
Through 38 games, if I had to really say my only concern about this team, and this is such a difficult thing to articulate, because when you don't score a lot of runs, you're mostly going to lose. So this take really sounds almost the opposite of common sense. But I would just like to see this team figure out a way to win a few more 2-1, 3-2, 4-3s. They just haven't been able to do that. They rely on, when they score 7, 8, 9, 10, it's great. And I just think as this offense starts to come back to earth a little bit, in order to tread water and figure out ways, you got to I still don't have a good feeling when the game's close late. And that's my only real nitpick. And a lot of these fun wins that they've had, that Friday in Arizona, those Dodger games, well, some of those games they actually had in hand, and then they came back after they already blew the game. You know what I mean? So I'd like to see a little bit of that. As far as Wednesday goes, just individually, Matt, man, the Cubs did not have a base runner with less than 2 outs until the 9th inning.
Jeez.
And then that was wiped away on a Justin Turner double play. Robbie Ray was really exactly who I thought he was going to be. A lot of deep counts, a lot of 3-ball counts. The Cubs just couldn't draw tons of walks. They only drew 2. The wind was howling in. And you can't really play small ball when nobody ever gets on base, right? So that was a plan of action. And, Ben Brown was uneven, to put it kindly. His numbers will look okay. He struck out a bunch of guys, but with the wind blowing in, you got to say, hey, here, how hard and how far are you going to hit it? He walked some guys. He gave up a bunch of 2-strike hits. It was an underwhelming effort from him. Only real bothersome moment came because the bullpen was just extraordinary, and it didn't matter because you were down 2 and you never came back. So all in all, disappointing. I'll say this. I'm very surprised they lost this series. I had this one marked 2 out of 3. Thought they were catching the Giants at the right time. -180 Monday night, -145 Tuesday night, and they closed at -168 on Wednesday. Large favorites in all 3 games. So disappointing that they weren't able. To me, this was not oh man, this is a really tough part of the schedule series. I thought they were going to come in here and take care of San Francisco relatively easily, and I thought wrong.
I understand what you're saying about close games, and I think I do want to follow up on that with you.
Sure.
I just think the real superpower in this sport is staying out of those games.
It is. It is.
Ideally, yeah. You know what? They'd have a nice one-run record, and we got to maybe put some work into to see how they're doing with deficits by 2, like for today, for example.
Yeah.
I just think in terms of volume,
No,
they
for
were
sure.
in so many games last year where they scored 3 runs or less. They were in so many close games. They had so many close losses, and I really attribute that to volume.
I don't think
And
you're
to
wrong.
be 9-4 this year in blowouts, I believe that's going to trend well in terms of an overall package of results. You know, this is coming from the guy that said 87 wins. I had the lowest win total on the board.
Right.
But despite the momentary, the temporary frustrations and the ability to, collapse in some of these contests, the volume is still relatively low. Granted, some of the losses like Tuesday were really because there was a close game at one point. But I just did want to comment about volume. And my theory on your position would be because you're peak into October. Is that why? Like you're peaking to when it matters, like down the stretch and then some.
Not yet, but yes. I mean, you're not going to blow teams out in October, but yet, but
Yeah.
not yet. It's more
Okay.
of just. It's just more of just. I'm more peaking towards the offense isn't going to be what it's been the whole year. So when the offense struggles, and again, I'm not advocating they win 3 times a week. I just like to see one here and there. Like I got their schedule pulled up. Okay, let's just have this conversation. I'm looking at their wins.
4-3 1-run games, right?
Yes, but like for example, they had that 4-3 win in Arizona. That game was actually really comfortable until Presley made it uncomfortable late. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a ton of, I'm looking, they had one, that one in San Diego was beautiful with Imanaga 3-1. I just like to see them, win a couple more of those type of games. So when the offense does get into a funk, and they aren't there yet, but if they're trending that way, because last year they lost the season, Matt, because in May and June, the offense was in a funk and then the bullpen was bad. So they couldn't grind any of those close games. How different is that season if they have 2 or 3 more, 2-1, 3-2s? You know what I mean? I just think the offense has been
but how different is this season because of the blowouts?
Exactly. But I think the offense has been so great. I would just like to see, them get picked up a little bit. Like you look at the Dodgers, I use them as the measuring stick. As great as they are, they have tons of, they've won 2-2-1s. They've won a 1-0. They've won a 3-2. They get these wins where you don't really, you look and go, you just stole that one. You know what I mean? Or you just found a way to win that one because, we could just do a podcast every day and go up. They just didn't score enough runs today. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, just every now and then, I'd like to see them win when they do score 3, when they do score 4. And to your point, they've actually had some of those, and then their offense has been so great they've made it look lopsided. Like that Skeens game, that was actually a grinded out win. They just turned it on in the 8th and made it look like a laugher. It really wasn't.
Yeah, so both sides of the scoreboard that's happened.
Right.
Well, in the last 11 games since the Dodgers series, I do have some info next segment to support some of what you're saying. I guess one final thing for me would be I don't know exactly why he's so inefficient. Is it because of the 2 pitches? But 103 pitches in 5 innings is actually kind of hard.
Watching it, you should have tried watching it.
We used to have a thing called A3P. We would do a pitching chart. One of the categories was A3P after 3 pitches. A batter needs to be on base or out. And quite frankly, it's a humbling approach. I don't think that would work in the big leagues. And it promotes contact for a strikeout pitcher like Brown.
Sure.
And certainly there are situations at the highest level of this game when you absolutely need a strikeout. But this guy is so inefficient.
Ugh.
I'm sure they're working on that type of mentality,
especially with the wind blowing in.
If there's anyone that needs an A3P mentality, it's him.
No.
And, Cubs use 7 relievers Tuesday, 5 more Wednesday. What's the sustainability with that sort of thing as well? So
no, and especially with the wind blowing in, they had that A3P.
Right.
Just attack early and see how far they could hit it.
Absolutely. It was howling in on
And he
Wednesday.
and then he actually was too aggressive when he got ahead in the count and gave up a bunch of 2-strike hits. And it's not intentional.
Befuddling.
He just doesn't know where the ball is going in those starts.
Ugh. All right, coming up next, we are going to start to discuss the offense a little more, especially the last 11 games. I have some info here right after this.
This episode is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast. Cubs haven't been stealing a lot of bases at all. From coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. The other night, these game ones, you had the Celtics as minus 9.5 point favorites. You had the Thunder as minus 10.5 point favorites, and both underdogs not only covered, but they won outright. I'm going to bounce back for game 2, and I'm just going chalk, and I'm picking favorites. I might just loop in a little money line parlay, Thunder Celtics. There's no way those teams both go down 2-0 at home, right? I would hope so, but a crazy NBA postseason right now where the favorites seem to really be struggling. Are you new to FanDuel? Because this is the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Since the Dodgers series, the Cubs have scored 60 runs in 11 games. That's an average of 5.5 per game, but they've scored 3 runs or less in 4 of the 11 and have gone 0-4, and they've scored 4 runs or less in 6 and have gone 1-5. The one win coming, I believe, that was the first game of this whole stretch of 11. Before I get into some individuals here, really all the main guys, really everybody that played or appeared in all 3 games of the Giants series, Sam. Do you believe that you have seen the expected regression? And then I do want to ask you some things more big picture, because I have optimism, but I think it is apparent that they have slowed up a bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I would say I've seen signs. It's definitely not there. They just posted 9 runs the other day. They had a huge day on Friday in Milwaukee, a really nice day on Saturday. I almost think the home run ball a little bit has, what's the word? Give them a little bit of false confidence, because this homestand, they had some, but they didn't draw a ton of walks. They didn't steal any bases, whatever. But again, Wednesday's game skews that, because you can't do anything when you're not on base. But I've just seen signs from certain guys, particularly the 3 and 4 hitters, that are pretty expected. I mean, I'm not even going to go to Carson Kelly because he's not playing every day, and eventually this is going to come. Like, we all know that.
Right.
But for me, I would probably single out really, Ian had a really rough last 2 games, but before that he was really solid. For me, it's 3 guys I'd like to discuss and talk about their potential regression and what I'm seeing. So hit me with some numbers or whatever you have.
All right, so this series, people that appeared in 3 games: Hap 1 for 10, Tucker 2 of 11, Saya 1 for 14, Bush 0 for 8, Kelly 2 for 9, PCA 2 of 11. The 2 names that are not like the others: Swanson 5 for 10. He's now 14 for 32. He's getting moved down. And Nico Horner in this series went 4 for 13. So there's some numbers for you.
Yeah, so for me, the 3 guys I want to zoom in on are Saya, Bush, and PCA. I think Tucker right now, I would say, is in one of those, like, he's just in a plateau mode right now. I don't think he's doing poorly. He's just, not doing great. He had the huge hit the other night. But, I'll start with Bush. This is, we keep comparing things to last year, which is a mistake. But in Bush's case, this is exactly how it went, like almost to a T. He had that really hot West Coast trip in April. He is now in a bit of a funk, and you look at his numbers, right? So I was actually surprised, Matt, and I'll loop Saya into this. Saya is now down to an 832 OPS. That is a number.
Saw that.
That is a number. If you were to tell me before the season he was at 832 and you told me give or take, I'd give. I have him between about an 840, 860. Now Bush is down to an 823, which is still a number I would gladly take for him. But it's gone down a lot. And when you look beneath the hood with Bush, his expected batting average is 241. His average exit velocity is low. His hard hit percentage is low. His bat speed, that metric we talk about all the time, with Nico and Turner, where he's just not getting it through the zone fast, that's really low. His K percentage is starting to increase now. So, a little bit concerned with him, especially if he's going to be hitting cleanup. And then the Saya thing, I mean, I can't say anything that hasn't already been said. He had a 990 something OPS after the Skeens game, and since then, I think he has 2 base hits. And one of them was a play that should have been made in right field in Milwaukee. Today, he had second and third, 2 outs. He took 2 called third strikes. One of them wasn't called. And they had the whole plate. And then he took the one right after for a strike 3. And then his next at bat, after the Cubs got out of a bases loaded, no out jam, thanks to Drew Pomerantz.
He's having a great campaign.
Yeah, he came in and struck out Yastrzemski on 3 pitches. You're like, oh, we got a little momentum. And Robbie Ray was starting to fatigue. He has 2 pitches to Saya that weren't even close. It was 2-0. And then Saya swings at a ball. He actually hit it really hard to right field for an out, but it was way off the plate, away and up. And you're just like, wait, so you take called strike 3 with second and third 2 outs, and then up 2-0 in the count, you swing at a pitch. You just, obviously, he's just in a funk. And then lastly, the PCA stuff. And this is somebody that's defended it.
Babe Ruth Armstrong. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's literally swinging at every pitch, like almost literally. And I just think that's probably.
Well, he did that earlier in the year.
Yeah, but now it's, to me, it's when it tick up. It's when it tick up.
And including at balls, right?
Yeah, he's swinging literally at everything. Okay. When you look under the hood with his stuff, it actually looks really good still. Like, his expected batting average is 273. He's hitting 265. His expected slug is 529. You know what I mean? He's slugging 537. So nothing about what he's doing is unsustainable, but the chase, I mean, he swings at every pitch. And I just don't know. At some point, the league's going to figure that out, and they're just going to throw the rosin bag up there. So that's those are the 3 guys I wanted to zoom in on.
Well, no, that's good. I'm glad you did that. I'm tracking with what you're saying. I feel, for me, and I'm saying Babe Ruth Armstrong in jest. For me, it's more than this series, like you nicely outlined there. But Bush, an 0 for this series. Seiya 1 for 14. He's not really accepting walks anymore.
At all.
I mean, when was the last time this brother accepted a walk?
No,
I should have that in my notes, but
I could tell you.
It's concerning. And listen, they lead the league. They lead the sport in runs scored.
His last walk was the Skeens game.
Okay, that's not good. So they lead the sport in runs scored. They're 6 games over 500. I do wonder, Sam, 500. I do wonder, Sam, if do we have benchmarks? And you floated the Seiya one, but I'm curious, especially what you would have for Bush.
Yeah, absolutely.
In order for the Cubs to win the Central,
great question.
What OPS should we be looking at? Because it has to start with an 8, right?
I love that question. And I did that 9 and 9 minutes thing before the year, which is
I believe that was in maybe February, March.
I think the Cubs could get by with Bush being between like 770 and 790.
Ooh, see, my instincts to say he's got to get higher.
Well, that's me assuming that PCA is going to also be in the mid to high 7s.
Okay.
But
multiple guys with the same range in the 7s.
Ideally mid to high 7s from Seiya, mid to high 7s from Hap, PCA and Bush, mid 8s from Seiya, low 9s from Tucker. Mid 7 from Dansby, that should be enough, I would think.
Okay.
Unless we can't, pitch anymore.
I will write those down.
Yeah. Can I just do a quick question before we move on?
Yeah.
Would you like to know how many walks Seiya Suzuki's taken since April 9th?
I'm going to say 6.
2. All right. Let's go. He's taken 2.
Wait, what?
I have it right in front of me.
Wait, that's a giant story. Why haven't we heard this? Because only this show speaks the truth.
Since April 9th, I'm looking at it right now. He took a walk against the Pirates on April 29th, and he took a walk against the Pirates on May 1st. He has no walks other than that. He walked a lot in the beginning. He had a couple walks against the Padres on Saturday the 5th. I believe you and I were having the soft pretzel at that ball game. He took 2 walks the following day. But since the 9th, starting April 9th at home against Texas, another boring mid-afternoon Cubs defeat on the finale of the series.
Yeah, just confirmed.
It's 2 walks.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I think we're going to end early. Okay, we'll do the roundup. We'll do the roundup, but do I have your permission? Can I tweet that after the show? Yeah, I'm not on Twitter anymore.
Okay.
Taking a long break, maybe gone forever. All right, coming up next, NL Central roundup. Let's go over all the teams.
This episode is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab-and-go snack for busy days, whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost. They're always my go-to. Folks, you've seen me eat these plenty on watch-alongs. They're my go-to snack. They're my favorite snack. Chili roasted is my favorite flavor. I have to have a quick handful right now. They're excellent. They're packed with flavor. I could not recommend them more. So get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
NL Central standings as you record: Cubs 22-16, Brewers 19-19, Cardinals 19-19, Reds 18-19 with a game to go Wednesday night against the Braves. So if they win, there's going to be a 3-way tie in this division for second at 19-19. Pirates pulling up the rear at 12-26. Let me give you the win projections according to our favorite system, Pecota. Pecota. That's entering Wednesday's action. This is wins. Cubs 93, Brewers 80, Cardinals 78, Reds 74, Pirates 70. And as we take a look at the division, Sam, the Cardinals have heated up a bit. The Reds have slowed. The Brewers kind of in that middle ground right now. What are you seeing as the looming largest threat for the Northsiders?
Well, first of all, I want to say publicly that I think Derek Shelton is in trouble.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
That's been really bad over there. They shouldn't be this bad. And I've been fairly complimentary of Derek Shelton in the past, but look, let me say this. I have 0.1% concern about St. Louis.
Okay.
But they would be at the very bottom. I don't think that's a very good baseball team at all.
And that's because of what, age or
because a lot of things.
okay.
Their pitching staff is just, it's not good. It's just a bunch of veteran guys. Offensively, they have some nice players that I like, but they don't have anybody, to really carry an offense whatsoever. I like Nootbaar, always have. I like Donovan, always have. But those guys aren't guys that can really carry you. And let me read you some of their wins. They swept the Twins to start the year.
Oh, Twins almost didn't even show up for the season. They were still in Florida, practically.
They played the Pirates. They had a couple nice series wins against the Phillies and Astros, and then they beat up on the Pirates here with that sweep. And so I could be wrong, but I'm not overly concerned about that group. I've made my thoughts very clear on Cincinnati. My only thing that's about them is that I've really thought that if Matt McClain and Ellie De La Cruz were not elite, that they would not have a chance. And those guys have been far, far from elite, and they're still right around 500. So take that for what you'd like.
And their expected record is a couple games over 500.
Yeah. I think they just IL'd Noel V. Marte today, who's been hitting well for them with an oblique. So that could be a problem. But like you said, they got two really good pitchers. But to me, I still think the largest threat's Milwaukee. That would just be that would be me. I don't really have a ton of evidence other than just their track record, and plus they're getting some pitchers back. Woodruff will come back. They just got Myers back. So I think it's Milwaukee, but FanDuel has the Cubs. It's down to minus 340, which is still by far the second best.
Minus 340. That's so much.
It was minus 420 heading into Sunday.
Oh man, that's a major favorite.
No, they're the second biggest favorite in all of the divisions by a mile. It's they're actually not even that far off. The Dodgers are like minus 480.
Okay.
So it's,
what's the win total on FD right now?
I haven't checked.
Okay.
That's a great question, though. You know what? Why don't you give me some thoughts on those
Because
divisions?
the Dodgers, I would guess, is still triple digits. I would guess Mets are about 95, 96.
Oh, well.
Maybe the Cubs are 92-ish.
That's a great guess.
Dakota's got them at 93.
I could tell you right now. Unless they don't have it up, they might not have it up because the Cubs just play. Yeah, they have win totals for some teams.
Yeah, sometimes you don't see them on there. Yeah,
you don't see them probably because the Cubs just lost or haven't played. It's all like I can't pick up the Dodgers either because they're probably playing. They're playing currently.
Well, for our last episode of the week, we are going to talk more about this 41-game stretch. It's about to come to a close. Preview Cubs Mets and maybe some fun with sound.
78
related to Craig Counsell.
Yeah. Did you watch his one today?
Not yet.
He really is like, what's the word? Firm? Is that it? Like,
yeah, almost like exasperated.
No, I don't think.
Oh,
like he got asked a question. I think it was by Bruce.
Straightforward?
Yeah, but overly straightforward, blunt. That's the word.
Yeah.
They asked him. They're like, "So have you decided for Saturday yet?" No.
All right. Well, I got to pull. I want to take some time that I can pull some of that.
Somebody else. I don't know if it was.
It was classic after the really big win. I should go see how he sounded after last Friday. Yeah. But after Monday, the 9-2 win, it's just like, dude.
No, he's
really even.
He's the most even kid. And I'm jealous, by the way. I wish I was more like that. I would love for him to be a little bit more like me, and I would like to be a lot more like him. But
that's fair.
And then And then I think it was either Taylor or Elise or somebody asked him a follow-up about a thing. And then his answer again was just no. He had back-to-back just no's.
And it's not really because of the results. He's been like that all year.
No, he's just very like, he's the type of guy, I don't want to turn this into a, this is a baseball show, but he's the type of guy that like you strive to be like, because I don't think I don't think he experiences a whole lot of anxiety is what I'm trying to say, because he's
that way.
He's so even keeled, and it's like anxiety or it's all comes from like excitement or frustration or emotions, and he's just, it's insane. Like I saw a meme the other day on one of the Facebook groups, like Cubs hit a grand slam, Council's expression. Cubs give up a grand slam, Council's expression. And I think it's
funny.
It's probably the personality you probably have to be a big league skipper, and why I probably wouldn't last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and let's beauty of audio, try to have some fun with that on Friday. This is Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Nights on the Locked On MLB channel on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.